Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're taking a look at our official fall forecast. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I'd also invite you to check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and the pinned comment down below, where you can help support the channel. Alright, now for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what are you most excited to do this fall season of 2020? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Alright, now we're going to start things out, and we're going to be talking about our precipitation forecast. And we're starting out with that above average precipitation column here. And as you can see, we are expecting some above average precipitation there for most of the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley. One disclaimer I must make, this is going to look very similar to our September forecast that we released 2 days ago, because September takes up a third of our fall forecast, so that should make sense that it is going to look pretty similar. Also to our winter forecast, because that last month in November we're going to start getting into that winter pattern, so it's kind of squeezed right in between. So you are going to see some similarities, but this one actually is quite different from our previous fall forecast. I've made some official changes as we've gotten the latest information. This should be the most accurate of all of them. Alright, now let's go ahead and add our second above average precipitation region. And as you can see, for Oregon, Washington, and then some of the northern Rockies as well, we're expecting some slightly above average precipitation as well here. And take note that for the northern Rockies, that could be in the form of snow as they start to get a lot of snow September, October, November timeframe. So this could lead to some above average snowfall. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to add a moderately above average precipitation region, and then we're going to take a look at that below average precipitation. We'll eventually get into the temperature and overall forecast as well. Alright, now here is our moderately above average precipitation region, and this is just an area where we're a little bit more confident in that above average precipitation. Coastal Oregon, Washington, and even up through northern Idaho and Montana there. And look, this is mostly due to the fact that we're heading into a La Nina that adds a very active storm track there for the Pacific Northwest, and it kind of creates a little bit less of an active one down there for the Southwest. You'll see that later on. But it really curves up north. It causes a lot of those storms to go further north than California. Alright, now let's go ahead and add that below average precipitation region. And as you can see, that's going to be for Washington, Oregon, portions of northern Idaho, portions of northern Montana as well. This is very, very typical in a La Nina, which is what we're heading into. A lot of those storms head further north up that west coast, and it can bring some pretty far above average precipitation for these regions. So that is what I'm anticipating here for our fall time months, which is September, October, and November. Alright, now let's go ahead and add our below average precipitation region for the four corner states, the Deep South, the South Central United States, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and the New England states. They're all in the slightly below average precipitation region. Again, we're not in a El Nino, we're in a La Nina. And what that does is, well, in a typical El Nino, we see a lot of nor'easters that bring the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, a lot of precipitation. So when we're in a La Nina, we don't get a lot of those nor'easters, and what happens is we get not as much precipitation because of that. There could be some tropical storms, obviously, throughout our fall months. That would completely discredit this forecast. That's why it is so subject to those short-term anomalies that can really punch into this below-average precipitation and just completely turn it towards the other way, the above average precipitation column. But obviously we cannot forecast if there will be any hurricanes or tropical storms for any given region, so that could change these a lot. Keep that in mind. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at our moderately below average precipitation region, and then take a look at that exciting temperature forecast and overall forecast. Alright, now here we are taking a look at that moderately below average precipitation region. And as you can see, this is actually for a lot of the four corner states, and then Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and portions of southern Colorado, and then portions of western Texas are all expected to be moderately below average precipitation, and really just more dry than what is typical. There's just not going to be an active storm track through here. There normally isn't. But there's going to be even less precipitation than what is typical for a lot of these regions. Unfortunately, I know a lot of you depend on that very little amount of precipitation for many things. Now, let's go ahead and move on to that temperature forecast. First things first, we're getting straight into the below average temperatures. Throughout all of these light blue regions, which extends through the Great Plains, the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, some of the southern central United States there, and even some of the southeastern United States, then up through the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and the northeastern United States, We're all expecting to be in that slightly below average temperature column. And usually, if you're only in this light blue region, we are going to add a moderately below average temperature region. However, if you are only in this lighter blue region, that means you could be warmer at times, but most of the time you will have below average temperatures. That's what that would typically mean. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to add that moderately below average temperature region, and then we're going to start talking about the above average temperatures, and then finally our exciting overall forecast. All right, now here we are taking a look at that moderately below average temperature region for the Dakotas, Nebraska, Missouri. So a lot of the upper Midwest there, the Ohio Valley, I would say the western Ohio Valley there. We see portions of the Great Lakes as well in this moderately below average temperature region. This is just an area where we're more confident in those below average temperatures. In the later portion of the fall season, we could see some Arctic blasts for a lot of these blue regions, and I think the colder air is just going to keep extending further east and further east, even throughout the month of September. I talked about that in our upcoming cooldown and our September forecast. Later on in the month of September, it looks like that colder air will actually extend for the East Coast. September, as of right now, looks very cold, and it could be the coldest compared to normal of the 3 months. Obviously, November will be the coldest of all 3 months. However, the September month looks like the most below normal at this point. All right, so very cold compared to normal here for a lot of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan areas surrounding those areas as well. Let's get into that above average temperature region. And this is going to be for mostly the western United States, but also the Gulf Coast there and up through the southeast as well. We're expecting a bit of a southeast ridge to kind of combat that colder air. This does not mean you won't have any colder than normal conditions, but that warmer air is going to try to fight and stay locked in for that southeastern United States region. I know that's not what a lot of you want to hear. You're probably ready for some of the colder than normal conditions, but I just have to be honest with you guys. It looks like the warm is going to put up a good fight there in the southeastern portion of the United States, and I actually live in that region, so it's disappointing to me as well. So it's not only you guys, it's me. All right, now here's the moderately above average temperature region: Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and then even portions of eastern California there are all expecting to be in that moderately above average temperature region. This is just an area where we're even more confident in the above average temperatures. Matter of fact, every single model that I looked at for the seasonal forecast had above average temperatures in this region. So there was great agreement that this area is going to be far above normal temperatures for the months of September, October, and November, which is our meteorological fall season. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and take a look at that exciting overall forecast. All right, now what we're going to do here is just work our way from west to east like we always do. A lot has changed here. A lot of colors have changed, and I'm very excited to go over this with you guys. The overall forecast is always my favorite because I think it tells everything that needs to be told. Now, first things first, for the Pacific Northwest and portions of the Northern Rockies, stormy conditions will prevail. Again, the La Nina pattern is really going to lead to those more active storm track up there, so I hope that makes sense. Also, for the Rocky Mountains, mountain snow. That's always anticipated for the fall season. It's going to happen whether it's warmer than normal, drier than normal, anything, there's going to be mountain snow. Now, as we take a look at the southwest, you can see hot and dry down there. We're expecting some moderately above average temperatures and moderately below average precipitation. Those two things combined lead me to believe it's going to be very hot and very dry. The closer you are to the coast there, I think the less hot and the less dry it's going to be. We do have a bit of some colder waters offshore of the Pacific coast that's really going to help moderate those temperatures the closer you are to the coast. So California, you might be less hot than the surrounding states. So let's go ahead and take a look at our flip-flop region, which is this yellow region down there to the east of our mountain snow region. That's just an area where it could be drier than normal, could be wetter than normal, could be warmer than normal, could be colder than normal at any point during the fall seasons. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to flip-flop back and forth. I hope that's pretty self-explanatory. Now down there for the south central United States, warmer and dry. Now keep in mind in my last fall forecast I said heat waves and dry, so it's kind of regressed a little bit. I think it's going to be a little bit less warmer than normal than I originally anticipated, which is very good news for you guys if that is the case, because I know the previous falls, you guys have had some very significant heat waves during the months of September. If you watched my September forecast, you know I said that it will be hot, but not as hot as your previous Septembers you're used to. All right, now let's take a look at to the north of there, and we see cooler than normal conditions down there for the blue regions. And to the north of that, Arctic blasts within this purple region. That's where we're going to have the moderately below average temperatures. And I think that there could be some frequent troughs in there that could lead to some Arctic blasts, especially as you get to the later portions of October and then through November. Though each Arctic invasion is going to be colder and colder because obviously we're getting closer and closer to the peak of the coldest time of the year. So they're just going to get worse and worse as time moves on. Now we see that light blue region that extends from the southeast, the deep south, all the way up through the mid-Atlantic. That's cold at times. Again, the warm might prevail and win at times. But that does not mean it won't be cold at times. The cold will make its way in, and I think especially towards the later months of the fall season, like November, you're really going to see that cold finally start to win. Obviously, warm in November would be like, 60s, whereas warm in September would be upper 80s and 90s. So there's a huge difference there, but I think November, obviously, will be cooler at all times, pretty much, depending on how far south you are, that is. Now, for the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, obviously, very active tropics. That's going to be the biggest factor this entire fall season because with how active it's been, there's always going to be threats, especially for September and October. It slows down a little bit in November, but that's going to be the biggest factor there during the fall months. For New England and a lot of the Northeast, we're going to see colder than normal conditions throughout those dark blue regions. And then finally, for that white region there, that's where snow, especially late, could occur. We see this every year for October and November. You start to see snowfall. The first snowfall in the eastern United States occurs usually in the Adirondacks, the Green Mountains, the White Mountains, and then it kind of just spreads further and further south. So that's going to be something it's going to be exciting to watch. I always love seeing those first snows of the year. It always gets me pumped up for the colder seasons. That's just how I am. I know a lot of you do not prefer the cold, so you probably would feel the exact opposite. All right. Now, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys in our kind of tropical update, we were taking a look at some of the potential coming up invests. And Cynthia Lewis said the third one is the one we're going to have to really watch. And that one popped up this morning after I made that video. And look, there's a threat for a tropical storm just offshore of the East Coast now. So we're going to have to make a video on that very, very shortly. Be on the lookout for that. That's not going to happen for another 3 or 4 or 5 days. So it's not imminent, but there is going to be some potential tropical development offshore of the East Coast. We've seen a lot of that this year, actually. Now, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank all of you for supporting the channel, but especially our Diamond patrons, Madbirds and Mark J, alongside our Platinum patron, Donna Carnez. If you would like to support the channel, you can check out our Patreon page in the description and the pinned comment down below. All right, now I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you so much. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, also leave a comment, especially for our comment of the day, because obviously I could feature it. But that also helps the algorithm just suggest the video to more people. So all of those things would be very helpful. Again, be sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.